Welcome everybody. Thanks for watching this video. This is going to be my first take at doing some commentary and a little bit of inputs on myself and John's runs from this last autocross. So first off, the event, we were up at VMSC, at VMP in Petersburg, Dinwiddie area. And it's, as far as locally, it's the best site that we have. It's not the perfect uh, conditions as far as there's some washboarding on there and a little bit of broken up bits, but it's a good size and allows us to put on some good events and make some good courses out through there. Ray and myself were the ones that did the course design. So we left it some pretty big offsets and some nice little sweepers that gave you some room to hang yourself or get lines in there right. And there was like a couple 3-cone slaloms that were a little bit offset from each other heading up the hill to the hairpin at the back. So we John's car, just a little backstory if anybody doesn't know, it's a first couple year S197, 3-valve, pretty much bone stock as far as drivetrain goes, AST off the shelf coilovers, Ebach front sway bar. I think it's still his stock rear sway bar, front splitter, front rear spoiler, and aftermarket seats, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it's a pretty lightly anybody could build that car. Just going online real quick and getting a couple parts from it, and it holds up really well. The 315s all the way around is really what makes it be able to handle with everybody else in KMC. Is just we're half the power of everybody else, and stick axle. So I'll go ahead and start running through this run. I'm going to try to make this video under 10 minutes. I think that's going to be probably the point of anybody who's going to want to listen to me and watch this. So we'll just jump right in. This is all Solo Storm data, and this is our fastest scratch time runs of the day. And right out of the start here, John was much better out of the start as far as keeping it tight, cutting that distance, getting to this first cone, and that's what gave him a nice little advantage there. As you can see in our delta at the top, almost a tenth of a second, and that's the fun part of autocross is we're fighting for every tenth we can. Tenth here, and each sector a tenth adds up, and you could be a second behind by the end of the course. So the first thing here, we pretty much had identical lines as far as how deep we came in to get lined up for the exit here coming out. But I want to point out real quick the major difference, especially with autocross, that you have to look ahead. And here is a prime example of this between me and John. Of he is looking like mid-corner right here, and I'm looking full on to the left out the driver's side window at where I want to exit through this next gate. And you can see he might have been looking with his eyes, but I like to see, especially when I start getting in cars with people to help instruct, I like you seeing you use the side windows. Really turn your head and look, so I know you're looking ahead, you're forcing yourself to look ahead and be able to plan out the next. I mean, even through the middle, I'm still looking. Now I'm not looking at that exit gate anymore. I'm looking at the next corner cone where I got to be aimed at. And your hands are automatically going to follow where your eyes are looking through this whole course. And especially the higher speeds we get and these bigger courses where it's not really on a postage stamp, you got to look ahead. And that's the big thing that helps you. So I'll go ahead and zoom this back out so you can see both, and we can see more of the course. Now right here, it's a decreasing radius to get onto the lineup to start going through these slaloms, and you can see he's still ahead by a couple tenths, but I think I could have shaved some distance there, but I would have had to whoa up more to be able to keep this tight to that cone to cut the distance on the exit. This is just a prime example of where two different lines can actually achieve pretty much the same thing. But when you start getting over to here to where you got to get lined up to this cone that's going to pinch you off to get you lined up with the slaloms, him coming out from so wide, he kind of had to pinch it there, and you can see his speed dropped below mine. It didn't, he's right here, he's off throttle, you know, through this whole point right here to be able to get him lined up, where I'm just flat foot through all that because I'm lined up better. And you can see by the end of it here, that's when our speeds really start to diverge. You know, I got 5 miles an hour over him, and this is where I'm going to start reeling him in, going through these slaloms. And he's just a little bit late and a little bit timid with his throttle input, because you can see he is off throttle from this point through these slaloms all the way back down to here. When we're exiting the slaloms is when he finally gets back on the throttle. So that whole point there where he's barely any throttle input, all coasting, you can see how his speed, you know, we got what, 4, 6, 8, 10 miles an hour difference between us two. And that's where I just start pulling on them by being early and on throttle through all these slaloms to help the rear end turn around. And by the time we get to the end of the slaloms, we exit. You know, there's 7/10 difference right there. And that 7/10 difference is what put him behind in the times. And it's kind of hard to make up 7/10 difference on the majority of the course when the last bit of the course is pretty open and there's pretty much only one line that you can go through. So you can see here through this whole sweeper, we're identical, right on top of each other. The throttle gets picked up pretty much the same points. I'm just a little bit more aggressive as far as holding it wide open. And then through these last major offsets that we did, our lines are pretty much identical. You know, there's no gripe in there at all for him and how he was doing. I would have liked to see him looking ahead a little bit more, but I can't complain with any of that. So if I go, it's a good thing about Solo Storm, you can realign them to different points, so you don't have a time difference at all now. So now our delta is the exact same, and we can run through here and see how, you know, we're within 1/10 of each other through all of that right to the finish. So I call that even. He did a good job there. We both did as far as getting through. And really it all starts right here. I'm going to line them here so you can see this is through the whole slalom area of just being behind and being off throttle. So we started dead even, and by the time we go into this hairpin, there's 9/10 difference. The only way to fix the slalom, like I said before, is you have to be early, and you have to use a little bit of throttle. As you turn to each slalom cone, you're going to scrub speed off. So to add speed back, you're going to have to be on throttle. And I don't mean you're going to be on it constant. It's going to be little blips here and there just to help. I use blips just to help rotate the car, get the rear end to kind of liven up a little bit. And in more the IRS cars I've been in co-drived, or even when I had my 14, I had it set up nice enough in the rear end where I could just hold throttle, 25-30% through slaloms, and it would keep my momentum going. The speed would be pretty much the same from the start to the finish as long as they were equal distance. And that helped as best as I could through all of that. So that's about the only little inputs I can give on this. I will show you this. With the Solo Storm, you can go back through all your runs. So my 4th run, which was the identical scratch time to my fastest run, but fun little insight, is I did way better on this first sector. So as we can see, our delta is going to be red's my third run, green's my fourth run, and then gold is John's run. So this fourth run, you can see I'm already 2/10 up on my actual fastest run through this first little bit, and flirting with 3/10 faster for a second. I'm back down to 2. I come in a little bit wider here in the middle, but I was able to get much better exit and pick up the throttle better, and that was able to grow till I got up to 4/10 right there till I got in the slalom. And then I did a better job on my third run get through that slalom, and that's why they really ended up being the same time. But could there have been a 54 flat in there for us in that car? I'm sure I could have driven it there. Just couldn't get it done all in the same run that I needed to. But we're at 11 minutes now, so I'm going to have to go ahead and stop it. So if you guys like it, give me a like, give me a comment of what you did like, what you didn't like, maybe something you saw that you want to see different in the next video. And then I think as long as I can get time to, from now on when I co-drive with people, I'll do at least a little overlay with Solo Storm to just see the differences in our lines, what we can improve on, maybe help somebody else out there that's new to autocross. We might be able to see little things that will help you, and just overall make everybody a little bit faster driver. I'm all for helping everybody in autocross to just make the competition level faster. That helps push me, that helps push the owners of the cars, that helps push other drivers to know that if everybody's helping everybody getting a little bit quicker, the times are going to get tighter, the competition's going to get better. It's going to be more fun of a weekend. As long as everything stays together and nothing breaks, that's always exciting. But thanks for watching the video. Be sure to like, be sure to comment. See you on the next one. Thanks, guys.